Champions Cup Saturday games. It's a real mixed bag of mean pretty much nothing, mean a whole hell of a lot, and kind of in between. Why don't we start with the first one, which is kind of an in-betweener. Saracens hosting Glasgow. So Saracens with the perfect record, 5 wins, no losses. Glasgow just that one loss. It came to Saracens in round number 1. It was 13 points to 3. From what I remember about that game, even though it was a while ago now, it was pretty testy and not exactly full of goodwill. So it'll be interesting to see how these two teams come together for this one. I say it's kind of like in the middle because both these teams are going through thanks to Edinburgh's win this Friday. Glasgow are guaranteed a spot. However, they can still actually pass Saracens if they can get a bonus point win. Seems unlikely, but there is still that little bit of something to play for, and Saracens themselves will want to make sure they finish as high as possible above all the other teams who are winning their pools as well. So there's still a little bit of a job to do for both teams, but at the end of the day, both of them are going through, so it's not exactly make or break stuff. For Saracens, I mean, there's a few changes. Brad Barrett is in at 12, so it's good to see him. Maitland is not fit for this one, so that's kind of a pity. Perhaps takes away a little bit of the spice from this one. But yeah, for Glasgow, Hastings, he wasn't used last week in that match against Cardiff. He is getting a start at 10, so that's good to see. But Hugh Jones is on the bench. Johnny Gray comes back, so it's a bit of a shuffled, rotated pack there for Dave Rennie's men. So home side strong favourites for this one. Saracens by 16 is what the bookies are saying. Perhaps if Glasgow hadn't been guaranteed the spot, you think it might be a bit closer, but given that it's pretty unlikely Glasgow go in there and get a bonus point win, maybe there's not as much to play for. But hey, it should still be an interesting game. That one, along with this next one, are on at 2 in the morning here in New Zealand, so I will be watching neither of them live, unfortunately. Speaking of the next one, Cardiff and Lyon. This one is one of those ones which is total dead rubber. Cardiff with just the one win, although some performances they look pretty good. I mean, last week I thought they looked really good on the attack at times, but it wasn't enough to get a win. Lyon, pointsless, man. No wins, no draws, 5 losses. It's not been a great Champions campaign for them. Champions Cup campaign, Heineken Cup campaign, whatever. They did meet in round 1 also, being in the same pool as these top 2 teams. It was 30 to Cardiff, 21 Lyon that day over in France. So it was a great start to the campaign for Cardiff. It just hasn't gone on from there. Lyon, it was a bad start, and it has continued to be bad the whole time. So yeah, they're both out of it. No amount of points is going to change anything there. Cardiff have made some changes. Anscombe's in at 15. Lilo's in for Halaholo. For Lyon, Liam Gill's captain from number 7. So we'll see how he goes. Palisson was on the left wing. The bookies have got Cardiff by 14 points at home, which I suppose, given the way they played last week and the way Lyon have been in this Champions Cup campaign, kind of makes sense. It'd be nice to see them go out with a win, personally. I mean, I'm a Blues fan, and they're the Cardiff Blues, so hey, that's enough reason for me to want the Cardiff Blues to win that one. But like I said, 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm not going to see it, unfortunately. Hope some of you guys can get up for it. The next one, Leicester against Ulster. This is a big one for one of the sides. It's an absolute must-win for Ulster because they're currently going through as things stand, but it's not guaranteed that they get through. Leicester are out, and they played a weak team last week, which kind of, I think mathematically last week they actually potentially had a chance to go through, but they lost to Scarlets, so their chance is dead and buried. But Ulster need a win, and this week, interestingly, Leicester have not picked a weakened team. They did meet in round 1, and it was 24 points to 10 in that one for Ulster at home. Now they're away, so like I said, Ulster are going through at the minute, but there's no guarantee. Ian Henderson is back for Ulster. Apparently he was supposed to be out for a lot longer, so to have him back now is good. Add something to the second row, but otherwise it's pretty much an unchanged team. Team that did a pretty good job over Racing 92 last week, so hopefully that kind of continuity for them can get things going forward. For Leicester, like I said, they played a pretty weakened team last week, but I mean, just to name a few, some of the guys who are back, you got Ford, Tuilagi, May, all these guys are starting. Yep, so despite the fact that they're out of it, they're playing what seems to be a much better team than last week, so just Ulster's luck that Leicester decided to play some of the big guns this week. They still need a win. The bookies have got this one at evens, so not calling it one way or the other. Yeah, I guess we will see what happens. Obviously, I've got the Ulster gear on, so I'd like to see Ulster go through, but they've still got a job to do there in front of them. The next one, Racing up against Scarlets. Racing are already through, but it's one where they're not sure where they'll finish. It's kind of, they're in a similar position to Saracens. If Ulster win and Scarlets then manage to pick up a win, Racing may not top their pool. So Racing will still want to do a job here. I mean, the record's 4 wins, 1 loss to 1 win, 4 losses. It's kind of a reversal of fortune, similar to that game above. But in round 1, it was pretty close between these two teams. It was 13 points to 14 in Racing's favour over in Wales. I remember watching that game, and Racing were pretty lucky to get over the line at the end. I seem to remember Scarlets being unlucky. It's been a long time, but that definitely got their campaign off on the wrong foot for Scarlets, and it's kind of gone wrong since then, despite a win last week. 2 changes for Racing, who, like I said, are already through. Johnston's in for Tamiafuna, and Boris Palu is in for Bernard LaRue. For Scarlets, Ken Owens gets a rest after playing at number 8. Jonathan Davis captains from 13. Yeah, Racing are big-time favourites for this one. Bookies have got them by a pretty whopping 19 points. They should win, really. As nice as it will be to see Scarlets do something. The campaign's already over. Don't get any injuries. Hopefully it's an entertaining one, if nothing else. That one's on at 4:15, along with the Ulster Leicester one, so no prizes for which one I'm going to be watching. But either way, like I say, with all the games pretty much, I hope they are played in the right spirit and entertaining games, because that's what we like to see as fans. The next one, Castra up against Gloucester. It's another game that's meaningless. Really, I mean, Johan Ackermann has come out and said that, you know, there's still pride to play for in the jersey. Meanwhile, he's resting Mostert and Morgan, 12 Trees and Cipriani, and the list goes on. So, saying the right things, but also as a coach, kind of doing the right things and resting some of his players. I know Gloucester's got a fair few guys injured as well, so he doesn't want to add to that in the game, which is not going to gain them anything in the long run. Both sides with 2 wins and 3 losses. Both sides can't make it. Round 1, it was Gloucester 19, Castra 14. I don't remember a whole much about that game. So, was that the one where Cipriani had a really wicked pass, or was that a Premiership game that I was watching around about the same time? I can't quite recall. He does it a fair bit, so it could have been lots of games. For Castra, Spedding's in at 15. Cavallero is in at 6, and he is captain. For Gloucester, Thorley, who's been called up for England, he is still playing. He's not getting a rest. So those other guys are rested, but Thorley's playing. He's one of my favourite players to watch recently. He seems to be in pretty good form, so hopefully he gets a good run. But Castra by 12 is what the bookies are saying for that one. And the last one is the absolutely kind of behemoth do or die game for both teams. It's probably the most important one on this one. Like, obviously the Ulster-Leicester game is important because Ulster need a win to guarantee a spot. These guys are fighting it out for their position. They need to get a win for position. Those two games are pretty meaningless. But this one is kind of mano a mano. Who's going to go through? Either of them could. Munster 3 wins, a draw and a loss. Exeter 2 wins, a draw and 2 losses. But they've been getting the bonus points enough to keep them in touch. Round 1 was that draw between these two teams. And Exeter were favoured to win that one pretty heavily. They didn't do it. The equation for them is they need to beat Munster and not let Munster get a bonus point for them to be able to go through. So Munster can lose it. They just need to get a losing bonus point or a 4-try bonus point. But then I guess if Exeter get a 4-try bonus point as well, that's going to cancel that out. But if they finish on the same points, because the Exeter are 4 points behind, then Exeter go through on head-to-head is what I understand. So Munster need to get at least a losing bonus point or a win to make sure they go through, score 4 tries, and hope Exeter don't score 4 tries, whatever happens. So, yeah, this is a massive, massive game. Free to air on New Zealand TV, I believe, is this one, on at the same time at 6:30 in the morning. Scheduling sometimes issues are not ideal. John Ryan is in for Munster at the tight head, and that's pretty much the only change to the lineup. O'Mahony, who had a bit of a rib clatter last week, who went off, he seems to be fine, so that's very good news for them. Exeter, Thomas Francis is not well. I think he's got a bit of a bug, so Harry Williams is also in the scrum for them in the number 3 jersey. So, yeah, that's the only change for them as well. So both sides just changing a prop. Otherwise, it's an unchanged team. So, yeah, I'll definitely be watching that one, despite the fact that the other one's the one on free-to-air TV, because that's just, it's almost a playoff game in itself, this one. So it's very, very important. They've even got extra seating from what I read at Thomond Park. So it's going to be an absolute cracker, I hope. But, yeah, bookies are saying Munster by 6, which any Munster fan, I think, would take all the way to the bank. But, like I said, they should be good games. I'm hoping for some interesting ones. Myself, I'll be watching the Ulster Leicester and the Munster Exeter ones, provided I can get up at 4:15 for the first one. The other ones I will try to catch the highlights where possible. You guys let me know your thoughts on these games. Which ones are you most looking forward to? Players, predictions, all that kind of stuff. Let me know your thoughts, and I will talk to you again soon. See you later.